Place. What is it like there? Questions we'll ask during this section. 1. How did geographers study the United States? 2. What natural and human characteristics are significant in the United States? Before moving on, let's take a look at our key terms for this section. Physical characteristics, another term for natural characteristics, part of a place not made by humans. Special purpose maps, maps showing characteristics of an area such as elevation, temperature, population, or the location of metropolitan areas. Physical characteristics. Now that you understand more about how to define where the United States is located, it's time to tackle another question that geographers ask in examining the United States. What is it like there? Students around the United States study the major physical features of the United States that help us answer this question. Take a moment to take a look at this video that describes some of the physical features of the United States. As you can probably tell, the United States has many different physical characteristics. The United States has mountains, deserts, valleys, canyons, mountains, plains, rivers, and gulfs, just to name a few. Geographically, it's very diverse, and depending on where you live in the country, your answer to the question, what is it like there, may differ. Stop and think. Describe what it is like in Michigan. You learned a lot about what it is like in various parts of Michigan in 3rd grade, but as a quick review, let's take a look at these images from around the state. Using the images, how would you expand upon your description about what it is like here in Michigan? Hint: this is about physical features. Many of the images have human characteristics, such as bridges or buildings. Ignore those for now. Special purpose maps. There are many different kinds of maps, including special purpose maps. These maps show characteristics of an area such as elevation, temperature, population, or the location of metropolitan areas. Look at the maps on this page and jot down what you see. What do they tell you about the area? What does each map represent? Each of the maps on the previous page tells a different story about what it's like there. The first map, for example, shows some of the different physical features of the United States as a whole, while the second shows climate zones. The third shows how much precipitation, the amount of rain, snow, sleet, or hail, that each part of the United States gets. Below is a satellite image of the United States. This map can be useful in many ways in studying the United States. Stop and think. What is it like in the United States based on this map? The United States is surrounded by 2 oceans and contains thousands of lakes and rivers of different sizes. You've already taken time to explain what it is like in Michigan, but let's now take a look at how people from around the country might answer the same question regarding the United States. You will begin to look at United States regions in the next sections and re-examine the concept of place and how these patterns are sometimes used to create a region. For now, however, focusing on the idea of what it is like there, look at the gallery on this page. For each picture, ask yourself, how is this place similar to Michigan? What differences do you see? Stop and think, what similarities to Michigan do the places in the gallery above have? What differences do they have? Human characteristics of place. Next, we will take a look at the human characteristics of the U.S. Human characteristics are the geographic features that were made by people, such as roads, bridges, and cities or towns. Michigan has many special human characteristics which you probably learned about last year. Some of these include lighthouses, bridges, and locks. Stop and think. Write about a human characteristic in Michigan that you learned about last year. Roads. Roads are important. They help us travel from one place to another. They are human characteristics because they were built by humans to help get us from place to place. There are many different kinds of roads. Some people in rural areas live on old dirt roads. Others live on paved city or county roads, which are maintained by local governments. Highways are a common way to travel from Michigan to another state. Some of the major highways in Michigan are I-94, which connects Detroit to Chicago, US 131, which connects the northern part of the Lower Peninsula to the southern part, then heads into Indiana. I-96 and I-69 help connect the western and eastern parts of the state. These roads are important because we can travel on them, but they are also a major way we carry out economic activities. Trucks ship goods from one part of the state to another, and to other parts of the country. You'll learn more about trading between the states in a later chapter. The map above shows the major highways that connect the different parts of the United States. You can see that there are a lot of major highways connecting us, but as you move farther west there are fewer and fewer. Here's a geographic riddle for you. What reasons might there be for smaller number of highways connecting the eastern and western portions of the United States? Stop and think. Write about a human characteristic in Michigan that you learned about last year. Cities. Let's continue to explore this. In the first section, you saw the map of the United States above, which was taken at night. Interactive 1.2, Solving the Riddle. Part 1 will give you the opportunity to look at two different maps and overlay one on top of the other to see what patterns you might observe. It is important to note that the maps were made by two different map makers and show two different things. Because of that, they do not line up perfectly with one another. The satellite map you're looking at on this page and in the interactive shows another important human characteristic: cities. Cities are built by humans and as such are important human characteristics of a place. The United States has many cities ranging from small to extremely large. People who live in rural areas of Michigan might feel right at home in a place like Curfew, Iowa. People who live in urban areas of Michigan, such as Grand Rapids or Detroit, might feel at home in a place like Chicago, New York, or Los Angeles. You can see that while a lot of the cities in the United States are centered in certain places, there are places on the map that do not show very much in the way of light at night. Does that mean no one lives there? Bridges. Let's set aside our geographic puzzle for a moment and talk about another major human characteristic. You learned in 3rd grade that human and natural characteristics are often linked together when you learned about a famous bridge in Michigan known as the Mackinac Bridge. The Mackinac Bridge was built to solve a problem: how to quickly travel to the Upper Peninsula. The Mackinac Bridge was not the only time humans grappled with this problem. The Brooklyn Bridge was built in 1883 to connect the island of Manhattan and Brooklyn by spanning the East River in New York City. It is one of the most famous bridges in the eastern United States. One of the most famous on the west coast is the Golden Gate Bridge, which opened in 1937 and connects San Francisco to Marion County. There are hundreds of bridges, some large like Mackinac, Brooklyn, and Golden Gate, and some small, all around the United States. Connecting physical and human characteristics. None of this helps us solve our geographic puzzle. In going back to the main focus of the chapter, what is it like there? Let's take a look at two more maps and bring together both physical and human characteristics to come up with a reason why there might not be as many highways connecting the east and the west. The first map below shows the average amount of rainfall in the United States. You may be wondering what average rainfall has to do with roads. Think about what you have discovered so far. Roads are connected to cities. Think about cities. Why might there be fewer cities in an area where there is little rain? The green areas on the map represent areas that get a good degree of rainfall throughout the year. Look at the purple section in the Pacific Northwest. Those areas get the highest amount of rainfall in a year. Stop and think. Using what you have learned about colors on the map, answer the question, what is it like there about areas in the red and orange zones on the map? And the red areas represent areas that get the least amount of rainfall. If you take this interactive and do the same activity you did earlier in this section, you'll notice another interesting pattern when all three maps are overlaid on top of one another. The final map adds one more layer to the equation. It shows elevation in the United States. If you take all four maps and overlay them on top of one another, can you construct an explanation why the human feature, the highway system, is constructed the way it is? Stop and think. What is it like in the United States? Use everything you've learned in this section to describe the diversity of the geography of the United States. In the next section, we'll talk about movement and we will answer the question, how is this place connected to other places? See you next time. Bye!